Hello everybody, Naughty Nandas. How's everybody on this Thursday? Hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing pretty good. Did I lose an earring? No, it's still there. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's pretty soggy here. Still getting the rain. I had a limb come down out in the back 40 there. Must have been about that big around. Sure glad I wasn't under it. Just saying. But anyway, we're going to do a Throwback Thursday to when, before Trump was elected, all the shit he did, and they still elected him. Because he's a very honest man. So anyway, this is for all those Republican, God-fearing, and moral and ethical people out there that Donald Trump was apparently selected by their Republican Jesus as their chosen one. Now here's why the rest of American and Canadians disagree with his choice. Now, the New York Times says he told over 40,000 lies, so do fact checkers and everything else. Over 40,000 lies in 4 years. And he's not done yet because he changes his story just like the friggin' weather. But anyway, on May 15th, 2017, this one, as a retired serving member, this really pissed me off. After becoming president, he invited two top Russian officials into the Oval Office and showed them highly classified information. I believe that was payment for getting him elected. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. Now, wasn't Kislyak involved in those Trump Tower meetings with the Trump lump there? And I forget who else was there. But I know Jared Kushner was in there too. Yeah, the old Kush. The Kush. So anyway, yeah. Now, the information that he was showing them in the Oval Office jeopardized some critical sources of intelligence on ISIS. Now, all them Republicans out there, those Republican Jesus folks, you believe he took hundreds of friggin' classified, top secret, compartmentalized information, secret information? You think he took hundreds of those documents as souvenirs? Let me tell you something. The docs that he was showing off in the Oval Office, there were code word. It was code word information. Sounds as bad as it does. Yes. That was August 30th, 2021. New York Daily News, December 20th. Trump took several trips on Epstein's private plane, the Lolita Express, where Jane, then 14, was introduced to Mr. Trump by that other friggin' scumbag Alan Dershowitz. Trump called Epstein a terrific guy that likes his girls young, just like he did. And soon as Epstein got arrested, I was never a fan of his. Video show otherwise, Donnie. Politico, November 2nd, 2016. He was accused of raping a 13-year-old girl. The court docs are still available if you want to look them up. Trump found out Gloria Allred was defending her. He threatened the Jane Doe and apparently her family because she disappeared. Now, another thing he did, this was from the New Yorker, August 17th, 2016. He wanted a scalp reduction because apparently he had a lot of bald spots. That's why he combs his hair with the leg of a chair. Just saying. He wanted to cover those up and get a scalp reduction. So he asked Ivana, his wife at the time, and the mother of his 3 children, if he could have to name her plastic surgeon. So she gave it to him. He had the procedure done. And he was such a wimp, he couldn't take the pain. So he got so pissed off because he was in so much pain and he didn't think it was going to hurt. I don't know what he thought surgery was. But he grabbed her by the hair and he yanked out a whole fistful of her hair. And then he threw her on the bed and he did his deed. And he beat her. And she spent the night locked in a bathroom. This is her own words. I'm not making this shit up. This is her own words from her book. I'm just saying. And the next day, as callous and as mean as he could possibly be, he looked at her and he said, "Does it hurt?" Yeah, that's the guys that the Republican Jesus folks want as their president. She later divorced him, and a lot of this stuff I'm saying is in their deposition of divorce. Although Trump pled the fifth over 100 times. Just saying. He ran around on her a lot. In fact, he was running around on her with Marla Maples, who he got pregnant and wanted her to abort. But that's okay. Republican Jesus said that he's the chosen one. He screwed around on all his wives, by the way. And when the third one came into the picture, Melania there, he screwed around her a lot. One with a Playboy bunny, they dated for over 8 months. This is shortly after she gave birth to their little son. And he was also doing Stormy Daniels. Now, apparently he was a big fan of her movies, because it didn't take long for him to make a beeline to her. Just saying. But she fixed his wagon, as little as it was. He screwed around his wife a lot, all while lusting after his then 13-year-old daughter, apparently having fantasies about having relations with her. Well, they were related, all right. Every time he sees her, have you ever noticed? When you see, she was introducing my father at all these friggin' RNC convention things and everything else, he'd come up. His eyes were here. Her eyes were up here, but his were down here. You know what I mean? And you always noticed that he grabbed her by the hips so he could get a hold of her butt. And he kind of pulled her in, and he'd close his eyes and he'd pull her in again. It was just disgusting to watch it. It really was. So anyway, yeah, that's what he was like. Just watch some of the back stuff. And then he was on Howard Stern's show, and Howard Stern seen a picture of her. I don't know if when she was, 15, 16, doing runways and stuff. Howard said, wow, she's a real piece of ass. And Trump goes, yeah, she's very voluptuous. Yeah, I would have kicked Howard Stern off the chair if he was talking about my daughter like that. I'm just saying. Then there was the time that Michael Cohen was having lunch at Bedminster, discussing legal stuff, I would imagine, at Bedminster, when a young girl came off the tennis court, and Trump, at the time, looked over, and he went, ooh, look at that piece of ass. He whistled at her, and he said, oh, I'd love some of that. And Trump was sitting with Michael Cohen, and when the girl approached her dad, he said, this is my daughter. Trump says to the kid, oh, when did you get so hot? And then he said, come on, give me a kiss. And then asked the girl, when did you get such a beautiful figure? And he warned her that in a couple of years, he'd be dating her friends. Now, Rolling Stone, October 12, 2016. He cruised through the male dressing rooms without knocking at the Miss Teen USA pageant because, and I quote, I own the pageant and I have the right. While some of the girls were naked and others were in various degrees of undress. He just strolls on through there. Want your teenage daughter around him? Trump was sued over 4,000 times in both federal and state courts. Battles over with casino patrons because they ripped him off at the machines and wouldn't pay out. Construction workers, millions of dollars in real estate lawsuits, personal defamation suits, and we already know one got settled for $5 million. E. Jean Carroll, way to go. Naughty Nana loves ya. And over 100 tax disputes. So they're not just going after him because he was the ex-president. They're going after him because he's a fucking crook. So, good job. He was rich back then, right? Because he could buy off all these people or just wait them out till either statute of limitations ran out or they couldn't afford to defend themselves anymore. Cases were dropped. But you know what? He ripped off contractors, but obviously not those boys from the 5 different families, right? You know, the ones like no pictures, those guys? Yeah, didn't rip them off. Didn't dare. He'd be in the same spot as Jimmy Hoffa if he did that. Did you know that he lost more than 2/3 of every case that ever came before a judge? That's right. And that includes all the election ones, too. He lost 63 out of 64 cases. Not a good track record. Shitty lawyers. You only buy stupid people, apparently. He settled the majority of those cases because you know why? When you make a settlement, it just says there was a settlement reached. That's only so the word guilty doesn't appear in the headlines. It says settlement. I'm going with guilty. You elected him because he wasn't a politician. He was a businessman. Well, he bankrupted 3 casinos. How in the hell does anybody bankrupt 3 casinos? 1 in less than a year. And And he also bankrupted 3 other of his hotel and resorts. Yeah, he's got over 6 huge bankruptcies, just saying. Most of the Trump buildings only have his name on them. He doesn't own them. They just pay him to have his name on them. But you know what? They're coming down. That gold Trump, that's coming off of more buildings than you can count. Just chipping them off left, right, and center. And there's always a crowd when they do it. People are cheering and taking pictures. So anyway, most of the Trump buildings only have his name on them because they paid him to do it. He doesn't own the business. And then they're tearing him down because all the stuff they found out about the White House grift and everything else, they're like, oh, Jesus, we don't want to be involved with none of that. So that's when they started taking names off the building. Now he's been convicted civilly, damn it, of sexual battery of Eugene Carroll, trying to fix the 2020 election, inciting the insurrection, more tax fraud, stealing donor money to pay for his legal fees. By the way, did you know that for every dollar that you donate to Donald J. Trump and his PACs and stuff like that, 10 cents of every dollar goes to pay his legal fees. But you know what? A couple months ago, it was only 1 cent. Now it's 10 cents. You know what happens to the other 90% or the other 90 cents out of that dollar? That goes into his pocket to use at his discretion, to do whatever the hell he wants to. So you guys out there think you're helping him? He's helping himself. That's all he's doing, and he wouldn't piss on you if you were a fire. So maybe if he wasn't so crooked, and maybe if he didn't commit so many crimes, and maybe because he was a disgraced president, now he's committing crimes in the open because he thinks he's going to get elected again and he's going to be able to skate and get through because apparently you can't charge a sitting president. Well, you know what? I don't think that's ever going to happen because you know what? He's not the Teflon Don. All he is a stale, rusty, old, cheap aluminum frying pan. That's all he is. Can't even cook an egg in it. Naughty Nana loves you. Be good, be safe. Take care of you. Mwah. Don't forget to subscribe.